Hey guys, Kris here, and welcome to the 10 to 80% charging time and charging speed test, where we're putting the manufacturer's claim charging speed to the test. But maybe even more importantly, for a lot of people, we are measuring the average speed from 10 to 80% stated charge. Me at least find that very, very interesting. But Skoda claimed that this Enyaq IV80 with the 77 kilowatt hour battery pack, that's the net capacity of this battery pack, has a peak speed of 125 kilowatts. This being basically the same car as the Volkswagen ID4 with the same battery pack. Well, I'm expecting us to actually hit that peak speed and also having an identical or very similar, charging curve to the ID4, but we don't know. That's why we're doing this test in the real world. And guys, if you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by. I'm Kris. I have this channel dedicated to testing EVs. I do range tests, charging tests, I do time attacks, over distance. I also do reviews. I also take all of these EVs down to 0% stated charge to see just how far you can go on a full battery, and also to see what happens when you're down low in the battery percentage. Do you lose adaptive cruise control? Do you lose auto steer? Do you lose climate control? Do you lose interior lighting? Does the car go into panic mode or turtle mode? I mean, these EVs tend to do different things and are very, very, different in that regard. So if these are the type of videos you guys like, please be sure to drop a like on the video down below. That is much appreciated. So thank you very much. And also consider subscribing to the channel and hitting that notification bell. So you might be asking yourself, why 10 to 80% state charge? Because in my opinion, that is the real usage of the battery while taking an EV out on a long trip. So you come to a fast charger, a lightning charger like this 150 kilowatt charger I'm connected to, with around 10% battery left, and then you connect to the charger. But often you don't want to go above 80% because most EVs charge super slow above that battery percentage. So what we're finding out in today's test isn't only their average speed you get from 10 to 80%, not only the time it takes to go from 10 to 80%, but we will also be generating a charging curve that will be very useful to a lot of people to see, if you're in a rush on the road, if you want to be on your way as quickly as possible to do the next charging stop. You can see from the chart we're going to generate when to stop charging, because this car will probably hit a peak speed at a certain percentage and then it will be dropping down, and that is what is very, very interesting. Also, at the end of the video, we will be looking at the actual charging session. I'll walk you guys through that, and also we will look at the chart to see where this car stands compared to the competition and other EVs, how fast you actually charge, because in the chart we will also see the kilometers per hour and also the miles per hour you are charging. So I'm collecting all the data here so you guys can have all the background to make as good as a decision as possible to choose a car. Okay, we are now done with the charging session. So we're going to look at the numbers, we're going to crunch some data, do some calculations, look at the actual charging session, look at some charging curves, and then put this car into a chart to see how it competes with its competitors. But before we do that, I want to tell you guys that the preheating done with this car was just normal motorway driving, 3 hours on the motorway, nothing else than that. So no artificial heating of the battery with acceleration runs or yo-yo driving. So just normal driving, normal conditions. So let's start with the actual charging session. So I'm going to overlay the video here. So we connect to the charger, and immediately at 10% stated charge, we are up to peak speed. I mean, this car is so impressive. At 20% stated charge, we are still at that peak speed of 125 kilowatts. And then we just keep that speed up until 30% state charge. And then in the 30s, we start to slowly throttle. So at 40% stated charge, we are down to 110 kilowatts. That throttling, that speed reduction, keeps on happening up until 50% stated charge. And then we are at 96 kilowatts. And then it just continues, into the 50s. And then at 60% stated charge, we are down to 79 kilowatts. We just keep on, losing a little bit speed at a time. And at 70% state of charge, we are down to 66 kilowatts. And then we keep that speed up until 80% state of charge. It is flat. So if you look at the charging curve here, this is a very flat charging curve up until, up in the 30s. It's totally flat, and then it just tapers off very slowly. And then again, when we hit that 70% state of charge, it's flat until 80. Very, very impressive. So from 10 to 80% state of charge, we got delivered 55.148 kilowatt hours. And the time it took from 10 to 80% state of charge was 34 minutes and 50 seconds. So we convert that to metrics, that's 34.83 minutes, and then convert that to hours, that is 0.5805 hours. So we take the juice delivered divided by the time, we get an average charging speed of 95 kilowatts, which is very, very impressive. That shows you guys that peak speed really doesn't matter that much if you have a flat charging curve, because this car has, one of the highest average speeds from 10 to 80% of any cars I have, tested. So we'll take the WLTP range as, the basis, because that's what we have to work with this, which is 510 kilometers. We also, multiply that by 0.7, that gives us that 10 to 80% range. That is 357 kilometers, and then we consider the time into that. We get a charging speed of 615 kilometers per hour, or 384 miles per hour, which is slightly higher than what we got in the ID4. And that is because even though we had the same average charging speed, we charged for some reason a minute faster. So I mean, it's about the same. It might be the weather, it may be, the way the wind is blowing, but it's about the same. It's, 34 minutes, a little less than 35 minutes versus a little more than 36 minutes. It's just a minute in difference. But either way, the charging session here, the charging speed and how quickly we get that charging speed and how consistent we get that is so impressive with these MEB cars. So you can see how this car compares. It's not the best, but it is among there. It is, up top there with the best of the EVs. So guys, let me know what you think. I'm curious to, is this good enough for you guys? Is this charging time, this charging speed good enough for you guys? Or do you still find it a bit slow, a bit too low? So guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please drop me a thumbs up down below. And for more car content, as always guys, please subscribe. See you guys later and goodbye.
Cloudless skies in the midday.